Welcome back to my next playthrough series as voted by the community. This was basically a three-way tie, so we've just done the Tales from Red Dragon Inn, which of course I played incorrectly. I apologize for that. I had the wrong token. Anyway, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I will try to remember to use proper tokens in the next playthrough. But now we're on to Terminator Genisys, Rise of the Resistance. This is mission 4. And we basically need to take this truck and get it all the way across the board. And you know it's going to be very simple to do. We've got a few things to look at this time, because this time our truck has a gunner position, a driver position, and 3 passenger seats. So I'm going to take a closer look at the truck cards here in a second. And we're going to be doing our 3 characters. Once again, we'll be playing with Kyle Reese in yellow. You can see him here. We have our Guardian Terminator in red. And we have Alex the Hacker in blue. And that's who we'll be using to play the game. This is a very big map. I had to do some finagling to get things here, so I'm going to be moving the camera all over the place as we go. We also have a truck damage tracker this time. And the bottom line for the scenario is if our truck is fully damaged, which means it's destroyed and flipped over in a burning wreck, we lose the scenario. We don't want to do that. And we have our regular enemies that we'll take a look at. And we have an enemy surge track this time as well. So lots of new things happening. And let's take a quick look at the truck cards. Alright, so I just positioned the camera a little bit differently. Alright, let's take a look at our truck cards. So we also have supply crates. We know how those work. We won't really bother going over them. And then there's a turn sequence, which we won't go over as well. Alright, the first card we're going to be looking at is we have the truck driver's seat. And the truck token itself actually has driver and has gunner on it. So pretty self-explanatory. Has 2 doors on either side to get in or out. We have 2 interact spaces for driving the truck. So if you're in the driver's seat, you can drive the truck forward or backward equal to the die's value. You cannot enter hexes occupied by characters, enemies, walls, or obstacles. And if you use a 5 or 6 for driving at any time during this movement, you may destroy one adjacent enemy or obstacle. So you can basically mow down the obstacles or smash into them, get rid of them. It doesn't damage your truck. And truck movement. Trucks can go forward, backward, they cannot rotate. And every truck movement must be a legal space for all hexes. So you can't say start here and then move 5 and just kind of wiggle your way around. The truck has to fit in the hexes without obstacles to make sure it can go through. Now we have waypoint tokens. We have 4 of them, A, B, C, D on the board, and a waypoint E to get to. So where are we trying to get to when we're driving the truck? Let's have a look. So yes, way at the other end of the board, which takes up pretty much my entire table, we have Echo Waypoint. We need to get our characters and the truck into Echo Waypoint to win the scenario. All right, let's carry on with the truck. We have a few other locations on the truck. We have the passenger seat. All hexes on the truck that do not have a label are passenger seats. When attacking, count range and draw a line of sight from your hex on the truck token, ignoring the truck's red outlines. So what that means is even if you're here, you can shoot across here. So you just count hexes, you could shoot out any of the windows. And again, figures do not block line of sight. And when you're inside the truck as a passenger, the red lines here do not block line of sight. So that's actually pretty cool. And lastly, we have the gunner seat. So if you're sitting here in the gunner seat, the big turret on top of your truck, you can apply 1 attack. Okay. And if you want a 1 or 2, you can make 1 attack, a 3 or 4 make 2 attacks, a 5 or 6 make 3 attacks, 4 dice, range of 3 to 12, so you can't hit anything pretty much adjacent to the truck. And it says 1 attack and count range and draw line of sight from the gunner hex on the truck token, ignoring the truck's red outlines. So pretty much similar to the passenger seat. All right, let's take a quick look at the truck damage. This is our truck damage tracker. It says the truck cancels the first Terminator skull hit each round, and a round is going to consist of all 3 players. And so there's that. And each attack deal the first uncancelled damage result to the truck. So we put a damage token on here. And any others to 1 character inside. The truck is when the truck is destroyed, flip it over. It takes damage if it cannot place damage. So if this is completely full of damage and we need to add another one to the truck, we're going to lose the scenario. The truck will be blown up real good. I'm going to use a little blue bead to track the once around, negating 1 hit point of damage. And then we also have an enemy surge track. We're using the 0 to 4. And when I'm going to be using this token as well. And every time we roll a 6, when we go to spawn enemies, after the initial setup, because there's some initial setup to go here too, we're going to be adding, we're going to be moving down the track, and when we get to a surge, yeah, bad things are going to happen. We're going to get it. Basically, we're going to get an enemy surge. So, looking at all that, let's take a look at our scenario then, and I'm going to super quickly go over our characters, because I've played with the same characters for the last 3 missions, so they're not changing there. And the weapons are basically all the same as they were last time, and we got an extra rank card for them. So they get 2 rank tokens this time for rerolls, and a couple of rank cards. I'll probably just go over the rank cards because their basic abilities and their weapons haven't changed. Okay, let's take a look at our scenario. I didn't realize just how much there is to go over here on the initial setup. So this might just be a setup video. I think we'll probably get into actual gameplay next time. So we have our map set up. We'll do all of the setup this time. So, and yes, this is incorrect. You have to find this tile. Anyway, there's some errors in here. Just take a look at the map and you'll get everything sorted. So that's our map. So we're basically starting here. Our 3 characters are going to get in our truck, and we got to get the truck all the way to here. Yeah, piece of cake. Alright, our objectives. The truck and characters must be completely within the same zone as Waypoint Echo. Players lose if truck's destroyed. Alright, waypoints. We're using Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. And our card decks. Equipment is level 1 and 2. Weapons level 1 and 2. And we have, of course, we went over these supply crate, driver seat, gunner seat, passenger seat, and the trackers. Enemy surge 0 to 4. I showed you that. And the truck damage tracker. Our enemy conga line this time, of course, we have our red player is our Terminator. It's going to be Flyer, HK Killer, 4 the T-800s, and a T-72 turret. Same thing with the blue player, which is Alex. And our yellow player is a little bit different. He's got 4 HK Killers, 1 T-800, and 1 T-72 turret. And so our starting enemies, well, we've seen these 3 enemies from last time, so we're not going to go over them. We'll see them as we attack them, or they attack us. And a skirmish setup, basically. If you just want to do a one-off with this game, you can. But basically, every character is going to have 2 rank tokens. We've got our upgraded equipment and guns with us. And we have 2 class cards each. So speaking of all of this, let's take a look very quickly at our characters. And because I just don't have space on this table, it's not big enough. It's a 3x5 table, which apparently is not big enough to, to do this scenario and have 3 characters. Heaven forbid you want to do 4 characters. So we got Kyle here, yellow dice. He's got a sniper rifle, which we went over last time. He's got the machine gun. He has a plasma canister. He's an engineer, so it gives him an extra health. And he also, if I can read this from here, I probably have to lift the cards up so we can see them. You may increase or decrease the die's value by 1 on an interact. I just gave him engineer basically because he needs more hit points. He just about, I think he did go down the last one anyway. If you want to watch those first 3, they're kind of interesting. And he's also got the gunner, the action spot. Copies one of your weapons, and I believe a weapon card is not the truck turret, so we won't be able to copy the truck turret with this, I don't believe. And when you assign attack die to an action space, you may increase or decrease its value by 1. That will apply to the turret seat. Alright, that's Kyle. Let's take a look. And of course he has his regular stuff, which we should know about by now. Let's take a look at our Terminator Guardian. Alright, so our Terminator Guardian has got the plasma shotgun, the plasma assault rifle, explosive rounds. He's the bodyguard, so he gets an extra wound space. When you're adjacent to a character, when an adjacent character would take a wound, you could take it instead if you do refresh one of your used rank tokens. Oh, that's kind of cool. And he's got the assault class, also an extra wound, so he can take basically 5, and his 6th one will knock him down. Whenever you use a move action space, you may move 1 additional hex. So that's... Oh, well, good. And he's got his regular stuff. He's got basically a couple of heals. All right, let's take a look lastly at Alex. And honestly, I don't even know if this is focusing because, again, everything's so spread out. So he's got a plasma rifle, he's got his net gun, EMP grenade, 2 rank tokens, of course, blue dice. Of course, our Guardian Terminator was in red. He has Survivor, and he also has Hacker. So basically, Hacker is he can set the die to any value he wants. Stun one adjacent enemy with a defense rating lower than this die's value. Enemies that do not have a defense rating are unaffected. So we can go ahead and stun enemies just by having the hacker ability. And he's got a couple defensive abilities. We'll get into them if we need to. Bottom line is he has 4 hit points. His 5th will knock him down. All right, let's actually read the introduction to this scenario. And then there's a final setup we need to do. And I think that's going to be it for our introduction today. And when we come back tomorrow, we're going to get into gameplay. So let's see what this scenario is all about and do our final setup, and that will be it. And basically, mission 4 is breaching the gate. All right, it says, have the player who's Kyle read this. It says, with our side mission accomplished, it was time to tackle our main assignment, breaking into the base John was taking us to. Our little convoy rumbled into the desolate remains of the city that no doubt had been wonderful pre-Judgment Day. Now it was a dark graveyard inhabited only by the bones of the dead scattered among the twisted ruins of once proud buildings. As we traveled, I asked John about why we were going to this base. What was so important about it? Normally he shared whatever he knew with us about a mission, about the objective. Whatever any of us needed to know, he'd tell us. This time, however, he just looked at me and shook his head. You won't believe me if I told you. He leaned forward, putting his face down to mine. But trust me when I say that what we're doing here is just as important as the Colorado mission, maybe even more. With that, he leaned back against the wall and wouldn't say anything else. I stared at him puzzled, but knowing John Connor said it was important, then it was important to the Resistance, and it was going to make sure he was going to get in there in one piece, even if I had to give my life to make that happen. From the front, Alex slid the window back and looked at all of us. We're about 2 clicks away from the objective. Probably going to run into some machines. Better look alert. John and I exchanged amused glances at the wiry hacker's change in demeanor. He checked the load on his ammo canister, his plasma rifle, and smiled at me. Guess we better do what the man says. I smiled back, knowing that whether we lived through the next few minutes or not, I was about to give everything I had to help knock Skynet out once and for all. I just hoped it was enough. So we're heading for the gates. Alright, so as not to spoil anything, I'm just going to read from the book here about our special rules. So enemy reinforcements are 2 dice. That's as per usual, like the first 3 missions we've already played. It says enemy surge. This mission uses the 0 to 4 enemy surge card. I showed you that. Place the enemy surge card on the 0 space. Each reinforcement die result of a 6 advances the enemy surge token 1 space. Each time it reaches surge, reset the token to 0 and place the next 3 enemies of your color, 1 at each enemy entrance. And there are 3 enemy entrances. I'm not sure if I mentioned. There's a number 1 entrance up there. There is a number 2 entrance right here, and just off camera, there's a number 4. So we have 3 entrance spaces currently on the board. It says enemy attacks against the truck. The truck token is treated as a character by the machines. If one of its hexes is the nearest target, it'll be fired upon. Track damage against the truck using the truck damage tracker. If the truck is destroyed, players immediately lose the mission. And destroying cover. In this mission, players may attack yellow outlined obstacles to help clear the path for the truck. Each cover obstacle has a defense, 3 defense, and is destroyed when it has taken a number of successful attacks equal to the number on the shield icon. So what that means is if you're standing out here and you're using a gun and you're shooting at, say, this hex, it has a 3 defense. So if you overcome the 3 defense, you'll do 1 wound basically to it, so you'll do 1 damage and you will be able to destroy that. Of course, the other ones, the bigger ones, have 2. Now we can also drive the truck adjacent to it if you use a 5 or 6 and actually smash the obstacle out of the way with the truck. That's pretty cool. So that's basically it, and we do have one final setup, and we are to roll, I believe, 3 dice. Yes, starting enemies. We're going to end off here with this. Starting enemies. After assembling the enemy pool, each player rolls 3 dice and places enemies from their pool at the matching entrances. Now, we're not going to count the 6s on this. This is just an initial placement for the mission setup. So let's get to rolling 3 dice for each character and hope we don't bring a whole pile of enemies onto the board immediately. And I think the easiest way to do this is just to take each character and roll 3 of their colored dice. So let's go ahead and do that. So for Kyle Reese, let's see if he gets any spawns. He gets a 1, a 2, and a 3. We have a 1 on the board, and we have a 2 on the board, and we do not have a 3. So we need to spawn the first enemy at location 1 and his second enemy at 2. Alright, for Kyle, that's going to be a hunter-killer. It comes out at 1, so we got 1 hunter-killer there. And at 2, we also get another one. Alright, spawn point 2 also gets a hunter-killer starting off. Ooh, yeah. Alright, that's Kyle. Let's roll the dice then for our Guardian Terminator in the red. Alright, we're going to roll 3 red dice for our Guardian Terminator and see what he gets for starting enemies. Looks like a 1, a 2, and a 6. Now, like I said, the 6 is not going to count for the initial setup, so we're not going to worry about that. But yep, same as Kyle. He's going to get his first enemy on 1, his second enemy on 2. Alright, and just like Kyle, his first enemy is a hunter-killer, so it shows up at 1, and his second enemy, though, is a T-800, and that's going to be coming out at spawn point 2. Alright, well, not so lucky on the second spawn. It's a Terminator, a T-800 coming. Well, I guess these are Terminators too, but you know, this traditional T-800 Terminator. Alright, we have one final character, Alex, to roll. Let's see what he gets for spawning. Alright, we're rolling for Alex 3. We're going to use 3 of his blue dice. Let's see 3 4s so we don't get any spawns. And we get a 6, 5, and a 2. There is no 6, and we're not counting that right now. So no 6. There is no 5. We have a 1, a 2, and a 4. So the 5 is okay. So he's going to spawn 1 enemy on spawn point 2. And for him, it's a hunter-killer starting off. So spawn point 2 for Alex. Alright, and yes, of course, I'll just zoom here quick on our 3 enemies that are currently going to be harassing us during this mission. So you can take a quick boo at this. These are the same enemies that we've had for the first... Well, the first 2 missions were these guys, and then the next mission 3 introduced the T-72 platform. These guys are annoying. They have a range of 12! That's brutal. Alright, I'm going to zoom out, and I'm going to wrap up our episode, our introduction episode for today. Alright, well, I can't even begin to get the entire thing on camera. I'd have to back off 12 feet. But anyway, this is going to be it. So we've got ourselves set up. We have our... of course, our resistance here, heading for the truck. We've got to get all the way to Echo spot. And it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be fun. I really do enjoy this game. It's really cool. We got our starting enemies at their spawn locations. We got nothing at 4. Wow, we kind of lucked out there. We got a crate right here. Ooh, I don't know. We got possibilities right off the bat. So thanks so much for watching along. Thanks for your comments, subscriptions, likes, dislikes, participation of any kind. It really helps out my channel. I really appreciate it. This is Terminator Genisys, Rise of the Resistance. We're doing mission 4. Yeah, mission 4, which I forget the name of, and we got to get over to Echo in the truck. So this time we're going to have truck. We'll be driving the truck using the gunner ability. Should be really cool. So thanks so much. I hope to see you in the next episode, which should be dropping tomorrow.